Here at the Universalist Unitarian Church of Farmington, every day, in every way, we bid you welcome. In this community of radical inclusion, we make space for what you believe, who you are, what you love, and who you love. Your whole self is welcome here. It is important that you showed up today. Gathering in community is an act of rebellion against isolation and hopelessness. Knowing this to be true, please repeat after me. We are rebels for hope.
We are rebels for hope.
And that we are. My name is Jessica Sanchez. I am your service leader today. My pronouns are she, her. Reverend Karen's feeling a little under the weather today, so I gladly took on being service leader. So I wanted to thank everyone for spending your Sunday with us, whether you are enjoying the service here today in person or watching online. I'd also like to extend a special welcome to any visitors today. After the service, we invite you to stay for coffee and conversation downstairs in our reception hall. I'd like to ask if we could all take a moment to silence our phones, but if you want to share that you're here with us today on social media, please do so. So we have a few announcements today. You are invited to attend the Kwanzaa celebration tonight at the Farmington First American Methodist Episcopal Church. The service is at 5 p.m. and will be followed by dinner. On New Year's Day, we are having a hike at the Kensington Nature Center. That's going to be Thursday, January 1st at 2 p.m. So join us to kick off the new year with some fresh air and fellowship. On New Year's Day, we'll meet inside Kensington Metro Park at the Nature Center at 2 p.m. and take off about 2:30 for a walk on the trails. We will have birdseed to share because if you stand really still, the chickadees will land on your hand and have some seed to eat. Feel free to invite any friends and dress for the weather. If you don't have a Metro Park pass, there is a $10 car entrance fee. And what I found out is that your passport on your license plate does not work for the Metro Parks. So just FYI, I made that mistake. If you would like to carpool, please let us know. And then there's also a map for specifics or navigation. And I think if you Google Kensington or use your GPS for Kensington Metro Park Nature Center, it should take you right there. So if you have any questions, Sarah Lukic or the membership committee can assist you. The UUCF Book Club is now meeting monthly on the first Tuesday of the month. This month we are meeting on January 6th from 7 to 9 in the Adams Hall. And kicking off this year with the book Kindred by Octavia Butler. It was originally published in 1979, and it's a modern American fiction novel. I would almost say sci-fi because it incorporates time travel, but also has quite a few fascinating and interesting takes on slave narratives. So highly recommend it. I don't know if you've read it already, but it's a really good read. And then we are also having a UUCF fundraising event on Sunday, January 11th after service. It's going to be a chili cook-off. So if you love chili, please come to this event. There's going to be a variety of delicious chilies cooked and donated by your fellow UUCF members and friends. The cost to taste and to vote is $10 for adults and $5 for kids. The winner of the cook-off will win a prize. You can enter the cook-off by contacting Karen DeGay no later than January 4th. And then our Social Justice Committee wanted to also remind folks that if you are able, please donate diapers, all sizes, and wipes, because there's about 30 kids in one of the shelters that we support, and as one of the parents all here, any parents who have had babies know that there's a lot of diapers. You go through diapers like crazy. So if you could keep those donations coming, there's a white bin in the foyer up front, or there's a red bin downstairs where you can leave your donations, or you can ask one of the Social Justice Committee members for help. We also have our little free pantry. It's very popular, so if you have any items, most of the things that we're looking for are canned pouch tuna and chicken, cereal in small boxes, peanut butter, hygiene, household products, bottled water, and again, you can leave those donations in or around the red bin downstairs. There are opportunities for connection this week. Coming up Monday, choir and the AA meeting. We have the men's lunch on Tuesday, and then Thursday again is that 2 p.m. Kensington Park New Year's Day hike. So we begin our service with a chalice lighting. We light our chalice, which is a symbol of the faith that we share, with words from our mission statement. Please join me in reading the mission statement. Include everyone, live with compassion. All right. Please rise in body or spirit for our hymn from the Gray Hymnal, number 391, Voice Still and Small. And I believe we're singing this through one time? Yes. Perfect. Unitarian Universalism is a faith focused on love, but it often feels easier to extend that love to others rather than to ourselves. With love at the center of our Universalist heritage, it is a wonder that so many of us think of ourselves as unworthy of love. This love is for everyone, including us. Our call is to keep love at the center of our lives by acting compassionately toward ourselves and others. Our call is to consider our actions with a forgiving spirit, even and especially to those we cannot seem to shake or forget. This is hard work. We cannot undo lifetime's worth of messages in a few days, but we can begin with forgiving ourselves. We can take that deep breath and remind ourselves that we are beloved one day at a time. Through the sharing of joys and sorrows, we make space every Sunday for an authentic and vulnerable sharing, which helps to build this congregation into beloved community. We make space every Sunday for authentic and vulnerable sharing. You are invited to share what's going on in your life, to name your feelings and the people in your heart in need of prayer and good energy, best wishes, and other help. You are welcome to pick up a stone or stones from the table, infuse or charge it with your joy or sorrow, and place it in the singing bowl where its energy will ripple out to be held by all of us. If you'd like to verbally share something important on your heart, please come up and speak directly into the microphone. All are welcome to participate in these ways. hearts, one for the joys, one for the sorrows, and one for the strength of the gathered community that can support you and bring you peace. This meditation moment comes from Tony A. Larson. Spirit of life, we come from different spaces. Some of us arrive alive with hope and joy. Some of us come in loneliness or fear, looking for friendship and support, but not sure we'll find it. Someone here is thinking of breaking up with their partner, or is afraid that their partner is thinking of breaking up with them. It's such a hard place to be, a place of fear and hope, anxiety, but perhaps also relief, a wrenching spot where feelings war with one another. Someone else is glad and secure and so grounded in their relationship that they feel they could achieve almost anything with the anchor of that love to give them roots. Someone here is trying to quit smoking, or thinking of it, and is finding it one of the hardest things they ever had to do. Someone here may be addicted to cocaine or another drug and would be ashamed if anyone else here knew. What would they think of me? And yet, that is who I am, and I am here too. Someone may be facing an unwanted pregnancy. What do I do about it? Could I handle giving birth? Could I deal with an abortion? What do my friends really think? What do I think? Someone else wants a child so badly, and feels an emptiness in their heart because this desire cannot be fulfilled. Others are here out of no particular intense feeling, yet still understanding what it means to know pain or joy. We arrive from so many places. It almost seems as if we came to see a different movie, but we find ourselves by chance in the same theater, each hoping for something to feed our spirits, yet wondering how we can all be fed when who we are and what we need seem so different. Spirit of life, help us see that as different as we are all welcome here, that we all have something to offer one another, and that our very being here is a gift. Help us see that as individual and unique as we are, there is a common heart beating in our breast, and we are not really separate at all, merely fragments of one common, beautiful vessel. If we could learn to put the pieces together, blessed be. From your seats, please join in our meditation hymn, Coming Home by Sherry Woodbury, which can be found in your order of service. We will sing it through twice. Our offertory words today come from Victoria Weinstein. This congregation is a theologically diverse religious community with membership open to all who are in accordance with our beliefs and mission. We are a welcoming congregation to people of all sexual orientations, genders, and we unconditionally welcome any and all of you to our community of mutual caring and serious intent to grow as spiritual and moral beings. Our congregation is entirely self-governed by democratic process. One of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all of the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and institutional well-being. You are now invited to participate in the blessing of giving as the ushers come among you to accept the gifts of the congregation. You may also give online via the QR code on the back of the order of service. The morning offering will now be gratefully received. Please join me in welcoming our member speaker today, Jon Modine.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jon Modine, and I am a chronic alcoholic and drug addict, and I still love this stuff, But I'd like to thank two people. I'd like to thank Reverend Karen for giving me the giving me the chance to talk. And I'd like to acknowledge a lady here that taught me how to say no. Charlene here. She's my sponsor in Al-Anon and ACA. And that lady's been telling me no ever since, Okay, let's go on. Let's see. all knowledge begins with experience. You know, all knowledge. I grew up, both of my parents were alcoholics. You know, they grew up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. You know, it's a town right on the border of Canada. My mother used to talk about they'd walk over to Canada taking a train bridge. They had a bridge for the trains. There was no bridge there and then. The border was pretty open then, you know. And back during the days of Prohibition, everybody brought booze back across the border. That's the way they lived. You know, they didn't care, you know. So that was the way they grew up. My grandfather owned a bar, you know, right there on part of the St. Mary's River. And when you go to family reunions, my dad, they classified my dad as a bar sweep. He swept the bar for my dad, for his father. Well, lo and behold, they grew up like that, you know. My mother had a very tough life. She was an illegitimate child. Back in those days, they just moved you from family to family to family, you know. Neither of my parents graduated from high school. We're talking, my dad was born in 1904. My mother was born in 1918, you know. Neither one graduated from high school. But my dad had traveled down to Detroit, and he had seen Detroit was the richest city in America at that time. During the 20s, Dearborn Fortson High School was the first $1 million high school in the United States. Now $1 million don't get you very much in a high school. So, you know, you grow up in that, you know, you grow up as an ACA child, you know. To put it in there, I like this quote by Elizabeth Taylor. You know, she goes on to say that blackout drunk is how you can live your life and survive, you know. And she knows something about drinking. Great actress, you know. So, you know, you grow up in there. There's a other thing that I'd like to put in here is if people in your circle are not contributing to your growth, then you're not in the circle. You're in a cage. That's by Kiana Starr, you know. So when you grow up in your circle there, everybody here contributes to my circle. There are 4 groups of people in here that I like to spend time with. Number 1 is, you put me with a group of alcoholics, I'm going to have a good time. We're going to laugh, we're going to have good jokes, we're going to do everything, you know, no problem there. The second group of people you put me with is a group of ACA people, because we share the same problems. You know, we realize we are lucky to be alive. We are doing well, you know. The next group of people that I can do well with are Al-Anon people. But Al-Anon is a group that are, if you have friends or relatives that are alcoholics, then Al-Anon is where you belong. But the Al-Anon people, you got to have at least 2 years. If you don't have 2 years in there, you know, you're just not with it, you know, in there. And the 4th group of people that I do really well with are free thinkers. That would put me in this group. If you're not a free thinker, please tell me what you're doing here. You know, I'd really like to know, you know, but that's the way that life is for us, you know. But when you grow up as a child of an alcoholic, your whole childhood is screwed up. And I say that it's screwed up because, number 1, you don't really believe in truth. you know, because your parents are always just trying to placate you. They never really answer your questions, you know, they just go on, you know, and it's the same thing. You always grow up with trauma, you know, and trauma, I grew up with so much trauma, it's unbelievable. I can remember the police being at the house a lot, you know, because the parents were arguing. My dad was always threatening to go down the street and beat the hell out of some lady because she was a Jehovah's Witness. My dad didn't like those people. I don't know why. But that's the way that he didn't do it, you know? So, you know, what effect does trauma have on the body and the mind? Trauma has the effect of a soldier that's in combat. You know, that's where the trauma is right there, you know? And that trauma doesn't go away. It's going to be there. You know, there's a lot of good books out there, you know, how the body handles trauma. You know, it doesn't do a really good job of it. You know, you got to get some training on it. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for, number one, I got into AA basically by accident. There was a couple ladies that got me into Al-Anon. And then, like I said, Charlene got me into more Al-Anon and ACA. So when you grow up there, you end up being a people pleaser. You don't know how to say no. The word no just as, if you're a people pleaser, you don't do no, you know. And that's the way that it is for us, you know. Our whole world is filled full of distortions and exaggerations. You know, you distort everything, you know, and you exaggerate everything. You know, some people would say that ACA has a self-esteem problem, high or low. No, they don't have a self-esteem problem. They don't have self-esteem, you know, because you grow up in a different world, you know. You know, and another problem that they have is codependency. You know, we are always codependent. We are codependent on everything. You know, another thing that I deal with constantly is everything is boring now. Boy, when I was drinking and drugging, man, that was exciting, man. It was exciting. I'd love to smoke a doobie before I did anything. You know, I'd love to have a couple beers. You know, I used to like to sing that song in the morning, you know. The beer I had for breakfast wasn't bad, so I had one for dessert. Old Chris Christopherson song. You know, and, you know, if you grow up as an ACA, you learn not to want because it just isn't in there. You're not going to get it anyhow, you know. Learn to do life my way. That's the way that, you know, when I went through there, you know, if you would have asked me years ago, I just wanted to be an average father, an average husband, you know, but women tried to mess with me. I just couldn't merge with them. You know, it just didn't work out, you know. And so life got really spectacular for me when I just started doing it my way, you know, and that's the way that I did it, you know. Let's see, what else do I got it here? When you grow up there, you have a tendency to be a perfectionist, you know, and me, you know, you're either a perfectionist or you don't care, you know, and I ran into both of those, you know. Another thing here that I'm telling you is your opinion of me doesn't matter. I don't care. It's not important to me because I've already lived a vast portion of my life, or most of it, you know. Let me just change notepads here. there was a time right after I quit drinking and drugging that I thought I had Kurzgesagt cause, which is I thought I had a wet brain. For people that don't know that, it's a wet brain. It's where your alcohol takes over your brain. I am pleased with what I got left. I can tell you that right now. And as a child, I grew up with no boundaries. We didn't have any boundaries. I grew up in Wyandotte. My mother was sick most of the time. My father worked till 9 o'clock at night, didn't get home until 10 most of the time, so I could do whatever I wanted, And that was pretty much how I lived my life, Let's see. My goal here, if I got one person in this group here that says, John, I want to talk to you about AA, Al-Anon, or ACA, I will consider that I have done a lot. I will consider that I got somebody, because I'll get them into a 12-step program. That's what I do to people, is get them into 12-step programs. Let's see, what else? Here, when I got so many notes, I'm called Chronic John. And that's an interesting one there when I realized that I had over 50 years of drinking and drugging. I've had people walk up to me in 12 Oaks Mall and say, you're Chronic John. I've had people walk up to me in a Costco parking lot and say, you're Chronic John. I've had people walk up to me in all kinds of places because they remember me. If you know what it's like when you sit at an AA table day after day after day, and I did that, and that's it. I don't mind. I don't mind telling people what I'm like, because that's not what I am now. How am I doing time-wise? I'm okay, because Karen stressed I only had 20 minutes. Okay. Let's see, what else? What else is important here? What caused me to change here is basically psychic. I had a complete change of my psyche. I wouldn't have made it without that, But I've also got a lot of wabi-sabi in there. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. Jennifer's shaking her head. She knows what wabi-sabi is, But it's a great thing. It's a great program in there, I think I'm going to have to sit down. I think that it's been great. Thank you. I did bring a bunch of books. If somebody wants to look through the books that I have, that'll help you along here,
Thank you, John, for speaking. I really appreciate that you were willing to come up and talk about your experiences, because I feel like the more you know about other people's experiences, the more compassion you can have for what they had to go through. So I really appreciate that you were willing to do this for us today. Please rise in body or spirit for our hymn from the Gray Hymnal, number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath. chalice with an open heart. We are building a better world together. We are becoming better people together. We are living our lives together. We don't have to do it alone.